Miles gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles bleached white, the wipers slapping rhythmically against the relentless Pacific Northwest rain. It was his third session with Dr. Ethan Hale, and already, the man had unraveled more of Miles's frayed edges than a decade of feudal family dinners ever had. Ethan wasn't like the other shrinks. No starched collars or judgmental nods. He was mid-40s, broad-shouldered with salt and pepper hair that curled just enough at the temples to look effortlessly rugged, like he'd stepped out of a flannel catalog for brooding intellectuals. His office in Capitol Hill smelled of fresh coffee and old books, a sanctuary amid the city's grind. "Talk to me about the cutoff," Ethan said that first real session, leaning forward in his leather armchair, green eyes steady as evergreen pines. Miles had hesitated, staring at the fern on the windowsill, its leaves dripping condensation like unshed apologies. How do you explain a mother who weaponized love? Who'd alternate between suffocating hugs and silences that stretched like nooses? "She called me a disappointment one too many times," Miles finally muttered, voice cracking like thin ice. "Last straw was when I told her about, me, the gay thing. She said it was a phase I'd outgrow, like acne or bad taste in music. I just walked." Ethan nodded. No pity, just presence. A quiet anchor in the storm Miles carried inside. Walking away isn't failure, Miles. It's survival. Those words lodged in Miles's chest, warm and foreign, blooming into something dangerously close to trust. By session's end, Miles felt lighter, like he'd shed a layer of rust from his soul. Outside, the rain had eased to a mist, and as Miles fumbled for his keys, Ethan appeared at the door, umbrella in hand. "Hey, drive safe. And Miles, you're not alone in this." The casual brush of Ethan's fingers against his arm sent a jolt through Miles. Electric, unspoken. He nodded, cheeks flushing under the street lamp's glow, and peeled out into the night, heart hammering not from the therapy, but from the man who just cracked it open. Weeks blurred into a rhythm. Barista shifts at the queer-owned coffee shop in Fremont, where rainbow flags fluttered like defiant prayers. Late-night runs along the waterfront, the Space Needle's lights piercing the fog like accusatory stars. And Thursdays at 4 p.m., Ethan's office, where confessions spilled easier than cream in his latte. Miles talked about his dad, long gone, a ghost of pipe smoke and empty promises. About the hookups that left him hollow, bodies colliding in dimly lit bars but souls forever at arm's length. "I want connection," Miles admitted one drizzly afternoon, staring at his boots scuffed from too many aimless walks. "Not just sex, something real. But every time I try, it feels like I'm begging for scraps." Ethan's gaze softened, the lines around his eyes crinkling with empathy that bordered on intimacy. "Real connection starts with you, Miles. Forgiving yourself for what you can't control. Like your mom's toxicity. It's not on you to fix her." He paused, then added quieter. "Or to settle for less than you deserve." The air thickened, charged with the unsaid. Miles wondered if Ethan felt it too. The pull, magnetic and forbidden, humming like the city's undercurrent of hidden desires. One evening, after a particularly raw session where Miles broke down over a voicemail from his mother, voicemails he never listened to but couldn't delete, Ethan suggested a walk. "Boundaries are good, but isolation's a thief. Let's clear your head." They ended up at Gasworks Park, the old gasification plant's skeletal ruins silhouetted against the sunset, a relic of industrial ghosts. The wind whipped off Lake Union, carrying the scent of wet earth and possibility. "You're doing the work, Miles?" Ethan said as they sat on a weathered bench, knees brushing accidentally on purpose. "I'm proud of you." Proud. The word wrapped around Miles like a lover's arm, and before he could overthink it, he leaned in. Their lips met, soft, tentative, tasting of salt from the lake spray and the sweetness of stolen moments. Ethan's hand cupped Miles's jaw, thumb tracing the curve of his cheekbone, and for the first time in years, Miles didn't feel like a fracture waiting to happen. He felt seen. They pulled apart, breaths mingling in the cooling air. We can't," Ethan murmured, but his eyes betrayed him, dark with want. "Ethics. My license." Miles's stomach twisted, but the fire in Ethan's touch lingered. "Then what?" Miles whispered. Ethan smiled, sad and searing. We figure it out. Discreetly. For now. What followed was a clandestine dance. Texts encrypted with emojis that meant, I miss your voice. Stolen dinners at hole-in-the-wall Taquarius in the International District, where mariachi music drowned out their whispers. Ethan's apartment in Queen and became their haven. Exposed brick walls lined with jazz records and psychology tomes. A king bed where bodies tangled like roots seeking soil. Miles traced the scars on Ethan's back, faint lines from a youthful skateboarding accident, and learned the man beneath the title. A widower who'd lost his husband to cancer 5 years prior. Walls built high until Miles's vulnerability chipped them away. I thought I'd never feel this again, Ethan confessed one night, post-love. As they lay entwined under rumpled sheets, city lights filtering through blinds like confetti. Miles pressed a kiss to his collarbone. Me neither. You're my safe harbor, Ethan. Laughter bubbled up, light and rare. As Ethan teased, harbor? In Seattle? That's too on the nose. But beneath the banter, something profound anchored them. A love born of shared wounds, tender and fierce. Yet shadows loomed. Miles's phone buzzed with increasing frequency. Unknown numbers, voicemails he ignored. His mother, relentless as the tide, clawing for reconciliation on her terms. I miss you, baby. Come home. I've changed. Lies Miles knew, but the pull tugged at old scars. Ethan urged caution. No contact until you're ready. Protect your peace. Miles nodded, but doubt crept in like fog off the sound. It was a crisp October Saturday when the world tilted. Miles was at Pike Place Market, haggling over fresh salmon for a surprise dinner, Ethan's favorite, grilled with lemon and dill, when his phone lit up with a photo from an old college buddy. Dude, your mom's blowing up my feed. New man in her life? Spill. The image loaded. His mother, vivacious in a red dress that screamed midlife reinvention. Arm looped through. Ethan. They stood outside a bistro in Belltown, her head thrown back in laughter, his hand on her waist. Proprietary, intimate. The caption. Meet the guy who's finally taming the wild one. New beginnings, Seattle love. Miles's knees buckled. The market's clamor. Vendors hawking flowers, gulls screeching. Faded to a roar in his ears. Betrayal hit like a rogue wave, cold and crushing. Ethan, his Ethan, playing house with the woman who'd driven a knife into Miles's heart? The salmon slipped from his grasp, thudding wetly to the cobblestones. A vendor clucked sympathetically, but Miles was already running, the photo burning a hole in his pocket, toward the ferry terminal where he could scream into the wind without witnesses. The ferry churned through Elliott Bay, whitecaps frothing like Miles's rage, but even the salt spray couldn't cleanse the bile rising in his throat. He clutched the railing, knuckles raw, replaying the photo in his mind. Ethan's easy smile, the one reserved for pillow talk and whispered promises, now beamed at her. His mother, Lillian, with her peroxide waves and martini-sharp tongue, clinging like she'd never weaponized birthdays as guilt trips or coming-outs as ammunition. How long? Miles's texts to Ethan went unread. What the fuck? Is this real? Answer me. By the time he stumbled into his tiny Belltown studio, walls papered in vintage concert posters, bed unmade from last night's solo ache, the sun had dipped, casting long shadows that mirrored the fractures in his chest. He downed a beer from the fridge, then another, the hops bitter as regret. Therapy was tomorrow. Should he go? Confront? Or ghost? Like she'd ghosted his queerness? Sleep evaded him, a cruel tease of half-dreams. Ethan's hands on his skin, morphing into Lillian's manicured claws. Vows of discretion dissolving into tabloid headlines. Dawn broke gray and unforgiving, and Miles dragged himself to the office, shirt untucked, eyes shadowed like bruised plums. Ethan was there, of course, poised, professional in a navy sweater that hugged his frame just so. Miles, he started, voice warm as always, but Miles cut him off, slamming the photo printout onto the desk. Explain this. Now. The color drained from Ethan's face, green eyes widening in genuine shock. Jesus, Miles. Where did you? He reached for it, but Miles snatched it back, crumpling the edge. My mom's new boyfriend. Ring any bells, Doc? Sarcasm dripped like venom, but beneath it, hurt throbbed raw. You told me to cut ties because she was toxic. Then you, what? Swoop in like some white knight? While fucking me on the side. Ethan stood, hands raised in surrender, the room shrinking under the weight of accusation. It's not what you think. Lillian, your mom. She reached out months ago before us. Said she was struggling post-divorce. Needed someone to talk to. I agreed to coffee. Professional courtesy. It snowballed. She was lonely, Miles. Broken like you described. I thought I could help. Help? Miles barked a laugh, hollow and sharp. By dating her? By letting her parade you around like a trophy while you sneak into my bed? That's not therapy, Ethan. That's betrayal. Ethan's jaw tightened, a muscle ticking. I ended it with her last week. When things got romantic. Felt wrong. I was gonna tell you after our session today. Swear on everything. He stepped closer, voice dropping to that husky timbre that once melted Miles. I love you, not her. You. The words hung, a lifeline or a noose. Miles recoiled, the desk a barrier. Love? You don't get to say that now. You knew who she was to me. The damage. And you still. I was compartmentalizing, Ethan admitted, rubbing his temples, vulnerability cracking his facade. Stupid, unethical. My own shit, losing Mark, burying grief under work. I saw her pain and thought I could fix it, like I fix everyone. But it was a mistake. A big one. His eyes pleaded, glistening. Forgive me, please. Miles wanted to, God, how he wanted to bridge the chasm with a kiss, pretend the photo was a glitch in their fairy tale. But trust, fragile as sea glass, had shattered. Session's over, he muttered, bolting for the door. Ethan's Miles' weight chased him down the hall, but he didn't stop, bursting into the drizzle like a man fleeing his own skin. The days that followed were a blur of self-sabotage. Double shifts at the coffee shop, where steam from the espresso machine scalded his palms like penance. Hookups in dive bars off Broadway, anonymous and bruising, chasing numbness in strangers' arms. His phone stayed silent, no Ethan, no Lillian. Just the echo of his own breaths, ragged and alone. Then the letter arrived, handwritten, on thick cream stationery scented with Ethan's cologne, sandalwood and regret. Miles, I'm giving you space, but I need you to know. I ended it cleanly with her, told her about us. She didn't take it well. Screamed about predators and ruining families. But that's her toxicity, not ours. If there's a chance, meet me at the park. Saturday. The bench. No pressure. Just truth. Miles burned it in the sink, watching flames lick the words to ash. But the embers lodged in his heart. Saturday loomed, a crossroads under overcast skies. He went. Of course he did. Ethan was there, windswept and hopeful. A thermos of coffee between them like an olive branch. I miss you, Ethan said simply, no games. They talked raw, unfiltered for hours. About boundaries blurred, grief's long shadow, the impossibility of loving without risk. I want to try again, Ethan vowed. No secrets. I'll refer you to another therapist. This us separate from that. Miles searched his face, hunting lies, finding only sincerity etched deep. It hurts, he whispered. But I miss you too. Their hands found each other, tentative, then sure, as joggers blurred past and the lake lapped at the shore. A second chance, fragile as autumn leaves. Rebuilding was slow, deliberate. Weekly check-ins with a new counselor, a no-contact vow with Lillian enforced by both men. Dates turned romantic again. Picnics in Discovery Park, where wildflowers nodded approval. Slow dances in Ethan's living room to Coltrane's saxophone sighs. Sex reignited, tender now, laced with I love yous, that felt like home. But Seattle's winters are long, and old wounds fester. One sleety December night, as snow dusted the city like powdered sugar on regret, Lillian showed up at Miles's door, unannounced, mascara streaked, bottle of Merlot dangling from manicured fingers. Baby, please, let me in. Miles froze, chain latched, Ethan's advice a mantra in his ear. But blood is thick, and curiosity thicker. 5 minutes, he relented, cracking the door. She spilled it all. The whirlwind with Ethan. Charming, attentive, everything your father wasn't. Then the bomb he dropped. He chose you? Over me, after I opened up. Her voice cracked, not with sorrow, but fury. You're poisoning him, Miles, just like you poisoned our family with your lifestyle. The slur landed like a slap, and something in Miles snapped. Not rage, but clarity. Get out, he said, voice steel. We're done. For good. He shut the door on her sobs, leaning against it as tremors racked him. Dialing Ethan, he choked out. She came, said things. I need you. Ethan was there in 20 minutes, enveloping him in arms that smelled of home. They didn't speak of it that night, just held on, bodies a bulwark against the storm. But morning brought resolve. A restraining order if needed, therapy double sessions, and a promise to each other. We're building something real, Ethan murmured over breakfast. Pancakes fluffy with hope. No more ghosts. Spring thawed the city, cherry blossoms unfurling like tentative forgiveness. Miles's barista gig evolved. He started a queer youth support group at the shop, sharing his story in halting, healing words. Ethan published a paper on ethical dilemmas in therapy, anonymized but cathartic, dedicating it silently to the man who'd taught him love's sharp edges. Yet, as Idle bloomed, a shadow stirred. Anonymous emails trickled in. He's using you. She was better. Attached photos, grainy shots of Ethan and Lillian's early dates, timestamps predating their first kiss. Miles's paranoia spiked, old insecurities whispering. Was it her? Sabotage from the grave of their bond? Confrontation came gently, over wine on Ethan's balcony, Olympics hazy in the distance. The emails, Miles said, showing his phone. Ethan's face hardened. She's not done. Hired a PI, maybe, trying to drive a wedge. We fight it together? Miles asked, vulnerability raw. Together, Ethan affirmed, sealing it with a kiss that tasted of forever. But forever's a gamble in a city of rain and reinvention. Summer hit Seattle like a fever dream. Elliott Bay shimmering under relentless blue, ferries slicing wakes like silver arrows, the air thick with grilled corn from street carts and the faint brine of possibility. Miles and Ethan dove into it headlong. Road trips to the San Juans, where Orcus breached like affirmations. Bonfires on Alki Beach, toes buried in sand as they swapped stories of boyhood crushes. Miles's on the high school quarterback, Ethan's on a summer camp counselor with a crooked grin. Their love deepened, roots intertwining in the fertile soil of mutual unraveling. You're my anchor, Miles told Ethan one dawn, tangled in sheets as foghorn moans echoed from the harbor. Ethan traced lazy circles on Miles's hip. And you're my compass, pointing me true after years adrift. It was cheesy, quintessentially American, two guys carving out a rom-com amid the grit, but it fit like well-worn Levi's. The emails persisted, though insidious drips eroding their peace. He'll leave you for someone younger. Ask about the nights he spent with her. Miles deleted them, but sleep grew fitful, dreams haunted by Lillian's laughter mingling with Ethan's sighs. Therapy helped. His new counselor, Dr. Reyes, a no-nonsense Latina with a knack for cutting through bullshit. Jealousy thrives on secrets, she warned. Shine light on it. So they did. Ethan went full transparency. Shared his phone passcode, old journals from his marriage to Mark, even a playlist of songs that had played during those ill-fated dates with Lillian. I was lonely then, he admitted over takeout pho in a cramped booth, filling voids with the wrong person. But you're the whole damn ocean. Miles believed him, mostly, enough to propose a weekend getaway. Cabin in the Cascades, no signal, just them and the whisper of pines. It was magic. Hikes to alpine lakes where they skinny dipped, water shockingly cold against sun-warmed skin. Evenings by the fire, Ethan's head in Miles's lap as he read aloud from Kerouac, voices weaving into the crackle of logs. On the last night, as stars pricked the velvet sky, Ethan knelt. Not with a ring, but a small wooden box carved with their initials. Inside, a key to his place. Move in? Make this official? His voice trembled, green eyes luminous. Tears pricked Miles's eyes. Yes, God, yes. They made love under a quilt of constellations, slow and sacred, bodies a testament to survival's sweetness. Back in the city, bliss tempered by reality. Miles's support group flourished, Teens spilling stories of unsupportive parents, finding solidarity in shared lattes. One kid, Jamie, reminded Miles of his younger self. Wide-eyed, fierce, hiding bruises under hoodies. "You're brave for cutting her off," Jamie said after a meeting. "Makes me think I could too." Pride swelled in Miles's chest, a quiet revolution. But revolution invites backlash. The emails escalated. Videos now, shaky footage of Ethan and Lillian at a wine bar, her hand on his thigh, time-stamped just weeks before their first kiss. "Liar," the note read. "He's playing you both." Rage boiled over. Miles stormed Ethan's office after hours, footage queued on his phone. Explain this." Ethan's face crumpled. Not denial, but devastation. We kissed. Once. Early on. Before boundaries blurred with you. It was a mistake, Miles. I stopped it. Kissed. The word punched. While knowing she was my poison. While starting to feel. Us. Ethan reached for him, but Miles jerked back. Context: I was grieving. She was there. But it meant nothing. You mean everything. Everything. Miles's voice rose, echoing off bookshelves. Or just enough to keep me on the hook while you played savior to the woman who broke me? He paced, heart a war drum. I trusted you. Thought we were past this. We are. Ethan pleaded, voice breaking. This is her, Lillian's doing. She's unhinged, Miles. I blocked her, but she's obsessed. With control. With winning. Doubt warred with love. A civil skirmish in Miles's soul. Prove it. Confront her. With me. Ethan nodded, resolute. Tomorrow. Her place. Together. Lillian's condo in Magnolia overlooked the Sound. All sleek lines and sea glass accents. A facade of coastal chic hiding the rot within. She answered the door in yoga pants and a forced smile. Chardonnay glass sweating in her hand. Miles. And Ethan. To what do I owe? Cut the shit, Mom, Miles said, stepping inside. Ethan a steady presence at his back. The living room screamed midlife malaise. Abstract art screaming for attention. A half-empty bottle on the coffee table. The emails. The videos. It's you, isn't it? Her laugh tinkled, brittle as ice. Paranoid much? I'm your mother. I worry. Worried enough to sabotage? Ethan interjected, calm but steel-edged. Lillian, this ends. The harassment. The games. For your sake and theirs. Her mask slipped, eyes narrowing to slits. My sake? You waltz in, play therapist to my mess, then ditch me for him? My own son, the one I raised despite his choices. The slur slithered out, and Miles flinched. You're both toxic, twisting love into something perverse. Enough! Miles roared, the dam breaking. Years of swallowed screams surged. You don't get to define love. You poisoned it, called me broken, a phase, a disappointment. I cut you off to breathe, Mom. And now this? Jealousy? Because he chose healing over your chaos. Tears welled in her eyes. Not remorse, but wounded pride. I just wanted us back. Family. Family isn't control, Ethan said softly, hand on Miles's shoulder. It's choice, and Miles chose himself. Let him go. She deflated, glass clinking as she sank onto the sofa. Get out. Both of you. No fight left, just hollow echo. Outside, rain threatened again, but Miles felt unburdened, the air crisp with release. Thank you, he whispered to Ethan, pulling him close under the awning. Their kiss was fierce, reclaiming, lips bruised with victory. But closure's a sly fox. Weeks later, a certified letter arrived. Lillian's suicide note? No. Divorce papers from her latest ex, but scrawled at the bottom. I'm getting help. Real therapy. For me. Maybe one day. No apology, but a crack in the armor. Miles showed Ethan, who nodded. Progress. Hers. Not yours to carry. Fall painted the city in fire. Maples blazing along Aurora Avenue. Pumpkin spice lattes a seasonal sacrament. They moved in together. Miles's posters mingling with Ethan's vinyls. A shared closet of flannels and hoodies. The support group grew, Miles facilitating with quiet authority, his story a beacon. Yet, intimacy's intimacy reveals cracks. One night, post-argument over Ethan's long hours, You're pulling away. Miles accused, truth spilled. I'm scared, Ethan confessed, curled on the couch. Of losing you like I lost Mark. So I work. Bury it. Miles knelt, taking his hands. Then let's unearth it. Together. Vulnerability bridged them, deeper than before. Nights of raw talks till dawn, tears and touches forging steel from silk. Thanksgiving loomed, a minefield of empty chairs. They hosted a chosen family feast. Jamie and group kids, Dr. Reyes with her sharp wit, neighbors from the building. Turkey carved with laughter, stories swapped like currency. As pie steamed on plates, Miles raised a glass. To ties we cut and ones we choose. Ethan's eyes met his, brimming. To us. Winter whispered warnings, frost on windows like fragile truces. The emails stopped, but Lillian's shadow lingered. A call from her lawyer. She'd entered rehab, inpatient for alcohol and relational patterns. Miles hung up, numb. Should I visit? Ethan squeezed his hand. Only if it serves you. He didn't. Not yet. Healing's not linear, a zigzag through fog. New Year's Eve found them on the Ferris wheel at the Seattle Center. City sprawled below like a glittering promise. Fireworks bloomed, syncing with their pulses. Marry me? Ethan asked, ring box materializing. Simple platinum, engraved with coordinates of their first kiss. Miles's yes was a sob, joy's pure distillation. Rings exchanged amid cheers, a vow etched in starlight. But life's a plot twist merchant. January brought snow, rare, magical, blanketing the city in hush. Then, the call. Lillian, discharged, requesting a meeting. Neutral ground. A cafe in Fremont, hipsters and haze. She looked smaller, hair natural auburn, eyes clear but haunted. I was wrong, she started, voice quavering. About you, about love, rehab. It stripped me bare. I'm sorry, Miles. Truly. He searched her face, hunting sincerity amid scars. Why now? Rock bottom. Losing you, for good, hit harder than any bottle. Tears fell. I don't expect forgiveness. Just a start. Ethan waited outside, sentinel. Miles emerged, drained but upright. It was real, he told Ethan later over cocoa. The apology. But trust? That's earned. Whatever pace you set, Ethan murmured, kissing his temple. I'm here. Spring cycled back, relentless renewal. Their wedding planning wove whimsy. Vows at a waterfront gazebo. Reception with drag queens and craft IPAs. Miles's group toasted them, Jamie officiating with teen gravitas. Yet, as petals fell, a final shadow. Ethan's ex-colleague, whispering doubts. He cheated on his husband too, you know. Patterns. Miles confronted, gentle. Truth. Ethan sighed. Heavy. I did. Early in our marriage. Stupidity. Grief from his illness. I confessed, we rebuilt. But it haunts me. That's why I'm so careful now, with you. Honesty's blade cut. But healed. We all have pasts, Miles said. It's the present that counts. Summer solstice. Their wedding day. Miles in linen suit. Ethan in vest and bow tie, under an arbor of roses. Vows exchanged. I choose you, in rain and revelation. Rings slipped on, sealing. Honeymoon in the Olympics. Cabins, constellations, carnal mornings. Back home, life bloomed. Adoption talks for the group kids needing homes. Ethan's book tour on queer therapy ethics. Lillian sent a card. Proud of you. From afar. Miles framed it, not forgiveness, but peace. Autumn's palette deepened. Golds bleeding to crimson along the Burke-Gilman Trail, where Miles and Ethan biked on lazy Sundays, sweat-slick and laughing. Marriage was a revelation. Not perfection, but partnership's quiet alchemy. Arguments flared. Over Ethan's tendency to over-therapize. Not everything's a breakthrough, babe. Miles's late nights at the group. Save some of you for us. But resolutions came swifter, laced with make-up sex that left them boneless and bonded. The support group evolved into a nonprofit, Ties Unbound, a haven for LGBTQ plus youth navigating toxic families. Fundraisers at queer bars packed the house. Drag shows funding therapy scholarships. Miles emceeing with newfound charisma. Jamie, now 19 and out as trans, became co-facilitator, his transition a testament to resilience. "You gave me words for my pain," he told Miles. "Now I give them back." Ethan beamed from the sidelines, his own practice shifting to pro bono for at-risk queer clients. "You're changing lives," he'd say, pulling Miles close in bed. "Ours included." But change stirs undercurrents. Lillian's from afar stretched thin. Holiday cards gave way to texts. "Saw your wedding pics online. Beautiful." Then calls. "Can we talk? Coffee?" Miles resisted, but Ethan, ever the bridge builder, nudged gently. "Closure's a gift you give yourself. One cup won't undo years." They met at a neutral spot. Zoka Coffee in Green Lake, autumn leaves skittering like nervous confessions. Lillian arrived early, bundled in a wool coat, lines softer around her eyes. "You look happy," she said, stirring her latte. "No accusations, just observation." "I am," Miles replied, guarded. Ethan sat beside him, hand a subtle anchor under the table. "Group's thriving. Married the man who saved me. From you, mostly." She winced but held his gaze. "I deserved that. Rehab was hell, group therapy where I heard my own voice as the villain. For the first time." Pause, raw. "I love you, Miles. Always did, in my broken way. Wish I'd shown it better." Words he'd craved as a boy, now bittersweet. "Love's actions, Mom. Not words." He exhaled, the weight lifting incrementally. "But, thanks for trying." They parted with a hug. Awkward, tentative, but real. No fairy tale mending, just the human mess of maybe. Winter wrapped them in coziness. Holiday lights strung across their balcony. Ethan's famous eggnog spiked with bourbon and banter. New Year's brought resolutions. Miles aiming to write his story, a memoir of cutting ties and claiming self. Ethan vowing more presence, less perfectionism. The book deal came swift, unbound. A son's reckoning with toxic love. Signings in indie bookstores. Readings where queer folks nodded in recognition. Critics praised its raw humanity. A quintessentially American tale of reinvention, laced with queer heart. Royalties funded the nonprofit, a virtuous loop. Spring birth surprises. A positive pregnancy test, not literal, but adoption papers approved for a foster teen from the group. Alex, 16 and fierce with foster system scars. Families chosen, Miles told him, echoing his own mantra. Ethan teared up at the courthouse, vowing, "Three's our magic number." Lillian visited once, post-adoption party subdued. Cake and caution. She brought gifts for Alex, books on resilience, and stayed for pie, silence's comfortable edging on companionable. "You're good at this," she told Miles, watching him tuck Alex in. "Mothering. Fathering," he corrected, soft. "And yeah, learned the hard way." Summer solstice marked their first anniversary. Vow renewal at Gasworks, full circle. Friends gathered, Jamie DJing indie folk, Dr. Reyes toasting with tequila shots. As dusk fell, Ethan pulled Miles aside, under the plant's iron bones. 1 year. Feels like a lifetime. "Best one?" Miles murmured, kissing him slow. Fireflies danced, or maybe it was just stars winking approval. But stories don't end neat. They ripple. A call from Lillian's doctor. Early stage cancer, treatable but terrifying. Miles froze, old reflexes twitching. Save her, or self-preserve? They drove to her condo together, Ethan driving steady. She looked frail in hospital jammies, but eyes sparked. Didn't want a burden, but family? Miles sat, taking her hand, cold, but his warmed it. "We're here, whatever that means." Chemo cycles blurred. Hospital vigils with bad coffee, Ethan mediating tense silences. Lillian softened further, stories spilling. Her own abusive upbringing, cycles unbroken till now. "I failed you," she whispered one night, for dripping. "But seeing you whole redeems a sliver." "Forgiveness isn't erasure," Miles said, "but it's space." He stayed, not for her absolution but his own. Remission came autumnal, leaves turning triumphant. Lillian joined a group session as a guest speaker, mothering through the mirror. Her voice steady, vulnerability a bridge. Applause thundered. Miles's pride quiet but profound. Winter deepened their triad. Holidays with Alex, now legally theirs, baking gingerbread men with lopsided grins. Lillian came for Christmas. First time in years, exchanging gifts without barbs. A photo album for Miles, filled with curated memories, the toxic ones excised. New Year's, for now under one roof for the toast. To ties, cut, chosen, and mended. Ethan's book followed Miles's, Ethics of the Heart, exploring love's gray areas in therapy. They toured together, hands linked at podiums, a duo of hope. Spring, Alex is coming out by with a crush on the debate team captain. Miles and Ethan coached, drawing from scars. Love's a revolution, Miles told him. Own it. Summer's heat wave. Family camping in the Olympics. Tents pitched under ancient cedars. Lillian, healthier, roasted marshmallows with Alex. Laughter echoing like absolution. As stars wheeled overhead, Miles lay with Ethan, Alex and Lillian snoring nearby. We made it, he whispered. We did, Ethan replied, fingers laced. And we're just beginning. In Seattle's eternal drizzle or rare sun, they thrived, not flawless, but fully human. Ties cut forged freedom. New ones, woven with care, built a legacy of love unpoisoned. Miles, once fractured, now whole. A man who'd stared down toxicity and emerged, not unbroken, but beautifully scarred. The end? Not just the heart of the story. In America's vast, varied tapestry, love wins not by perfection, but persistence.